Awesome. John, thanks so much for jumping on the podcast here after work, Super appreciate that. Before we went live, we were starting to just talk about books, which I know you've gotten a very intimate experience with, not just reading for yourself, but getting other people to read as well. So why don't you give a little bit of background and then let's jump into some of the books we were just chatting about because I feel like we can go real deep with those.
Yeah, sure. So I love to read and I love books. I love both fiction and nonfiction, the stories as well as the wisdom that you can gain from some nonfiction books. And years ago, I had this just observation, really, just that most people read books from a recommendation that they get just from word of mouth from a friend and family member, or frankly, just like a podcast host or like someone they follow online. And so this is like not that novel of an observation, but I just noticed that the entire book industry isn't really capitalizing on this. And
Mm.
so I went out and I started a startup in this space. I just put it on pause like days ago, but I
Mm.
honestly want to bring it back. But for personal life reasons, we just had a baby and I got kind of recruited to join this other startup. Not doing that currently, but the whole concept was that we would basically pay people like well-read tastemakers in the
Mm.
book space
Mhm.
a portion of the revenue that they generate from their book recommendations.
Oh, awesome.
And I had a spreadsheet going of like, there's like couple thousand book influencers across the internet on Reddit, on Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, Substack, and LinkedIn that are generating like over 50% of the book sales like in the world from their like just their online like discussion promotion
Holy smokes.
about these books. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to build a unique platform that actually caters to like the book curator.
Yeah.
And like no one's ever done this before. And
Uh-huh.
so the whole concept was just to align everybody's incentives and bring it inside of the product. And I come from a tech product background
Uh-huh.
and I currently lead products here at Songfinch, or a music company. And so anyways, I worked on this for a while. The startup was called Iliad, but really, yeah, I mean, this all just came from my just love of books. We were talking before about, some of the favorite ones.
Yeah.
Read everything from biographies to to business books to like self improvement books to
Yeah.
sci-fi to history, philosophy, all over.
Love that. So I selfishly want you to start Iliad again so I
I
can
know.
try to be one of the book influencers.
Yeah.
I have no audience and my family and friends usually when I start talking about a book just turn off
Yeah.
because I love books so much and I'm always trying to sell them. So there's a secret sauce of your influencers that I'm going to study and I'm going to be one of those people hawking the 50%. But I think I love the concept because it's, I would imagine, and I have not studied this, but I would imagine that the best product influencers are those that just are super naturally, organically hyped about the product.
Yes.
And books in particular, if you're a reader, I would consider myself a reader, and it's an acquired over time. But books in particular, if they help you or they give you some type of insight or they give a spark and you want to share that with others, it's kind of this natural outpouring of the joy that a book gives. So
Hmm.
I can totally see where you're saying it, like this concept that there are these book influencers and they get that. So I just love that so much. I'm like, yes, that
Yeah.
is awesome. And then they
Awesome.
can make some money off it. It's like, hey, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, to me, there's like, you can tell when somebody like really enjoys a book versus when, they're just repeating like a bestsellers list. Like the
Hmm.
people that are really passionate about a good book, like they're just authentic
Hmm.
and they tend to develop like a niche reputation. Like my brother, for example, is actually like one of these book influencers.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And he reads a lot of like World War II books, philosophy, like spirituality type books. He used to be big in economics. And now like publishers have like discovered his Instagram account
Yeah,
and they
totally.
her publishers are DMing him all the time saying like, "Hey, love your account. It's like exactly the niche that we publish.
Hmm.
Can like tell us your address and we'll send you like a copy book before it's
That's
out. Like we'd
yes.
love for you to like just give your honest public review of the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and he just is extremely passionate about these nerdy topics.
I love that. Well, and that's where as you were speaking too, when you said World War II, I was like, oh my gosh, it's a very broad topic, but when it comes to reading, it's actually, there are certain books that people read,
Yeah.
that are just the book. I'm thinking of oh my gosh, what's the famous Hitler, the rise of the rise of the Third Reich? Is that
Right. I
what
think it's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like book like that. There's another World War II book that I read that the TV show The Pacific was based off of.
Oh, I don't
And
know that one.
it's called and this is where everyone who's listening just waits for me to think. Well, basically, it's by a guy named Eugene Sledge, and it is his firsthand account of hitting the beaches,
Mm.
against the Japanese in the Pacific. And it's considered one of the most realistic, heartfelt understandings of that. And then it makes me think of like what makes books so good. It's this wrestling with what the author is trying to give. And in terms of World War II book, you can actually be placed into that. If you think of the books like Night, right, by Elie Wiesel, the book about the concentration camps,
Yeah.
right? I can totally see that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's books are fascinating to me because like it really a well-written book feels like I'm having a conversation with the author. And like there's something that it's like I'll read Marcus Aurelius Meditations, and like it feels like I'm like he's writing to me like as I'm reading it. And I'm like, there's actually something kind of trippy about that because he's dead. He's been gone for a couple thousand years, but this extremely low tech medium of like ink on paper has been preserved in a way that feels like I'm talking to someone. Like, is this not like a form of like time travel? This is
Oh
like,
my gosh, absolutely.
it's crazy how well this works. And obviously other forms of like communication and entertainment have popped up since then. But if you look at like the amount of data that's like in a movie, for example, like a 3-hour film, like compared to like the wisdom to like data ratio
Oh my gosh, that
coming
is
from,
such an interesting point.
yeah, the wisdom to data ratio on books is higher than any other medium out there.
Oh
And
my
it's
gosh.
such a brilliant way to preserve and communicate wisdom like through years. It's really interesting.
So, oh my gosh, that's really, really interesting point because if you just take, say, you took all of the data that a film represents and put it into ones and zeros, and then you put that onto what a ones and zeros of a novel would be, it would be an astronomical difference. But you're
Yes.
totally right. The ratio is crazy different. I mean, so the Marcus Aurelius Meditations, and people who are listening probably gonna roll their eyes. I listened to that twice this year
Nice.
while I'm in the sauna. I'm just like getting roasted and listening to him but what's the reason why is because it's a very meditative listen. And when you put him in the context of 2000 years ago and you feel that he's writing for an audience of today, you realize how humanity is timeless.
Yes. Yes.
And the struggles, the fears, the motivations are so similar in so many ways.
Yeah.
And if you look at who Marcus Aurelius was in the context of history and the Roman Empire at that time, it becomes even more profound because he was such an incredibly humble person who really tried to reflect on his own humanity and how he was not going to live forever. So this idea of memento mori, remember you are mortal. And that's just, it's just a really amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a great book. What are some of your favorite books?
My gosh, I have too many. So there's one book. It's called Shantaram. It's my favorite fiction.
I've
Are
heard
you
of this.
familiar?
I've heard of it. Don't know much about it, but a lot of
Gregory David Roberts. I won't give too much away, but he says basically what the book is about in the first 3 pages. But it's about a man who escapes from an Australian prison and flees to India and becomes part of the Bombay Mafia.
Wow.
Or Mumbai Mafia.
Wow.
What's interesting about this book is that this actually happened to the author.
Wow.
So within the book itself, you don't really know what is real and what isn't. And he'll say every so often, every 9 months or something, I'll just go online to remind myself the lore behind this book.
Hmm.
And people aren't really sure who basically he'll say that he bases his characters off of real people or amalgamation of them. But the reason why I like it so much is because it's suspense, it's action, it's romance, it's very, very culturally insightful. This author became he was like very intimately associated with the culture there. He learned, the local language, not just Hindi.
Hmm.
And it's just a really beautiful story. He also works in the slums as a doctor, like an unofficial doctor. And this is also something that happened in real life. So highly, highly recommend it to folks out there. That would be my favorite fiction. But as we were chatting about before, nonfiction and business books, the Walter Isaacson series has
Hmm.
just been phenomenal, right? So he wrote about Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and
Did Ben Franklin as well.
Ben Franklin. So I got through about half of Ben Franklin.
Yeah,
And did you read it?
I did. It wasn't as captivating as the others.
Not only was it not that captivating, but I was like, Ben Franklin was kind of like, I don't know, I didn't really like the guy. You
Yeah.
know, you know what I mean? There were things that were left wanting in his personality and his virtue, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
another point to why it's important to read and to know real histories.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But you
Hmm.
like the Steve Jobs one?
Loved the Steve Jobs one. I mean, the amazing sheer. They called it his reality distortion model or his
Okay.
reality distortion. You know, so you want to explain to the audience what we're talking about with that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a fascinating concept because I've kind of lived this as as a startup founder, but Steve would just set these extremely audacious plans of we want to launch this product or this feature by this really aggressive date. And no one on his team believed that was actually even possible. And it turns out he got it done every single time. Everybody else on his team was wrong. But like until they actually did it, they just would refer to Steve's reality distortion field as this guy like doesn't live within reality. This guy's like crazy, basically. Like what he's saying is like it's just aggressive to the point of like delusion. And this is something that I lived and I struggled with as a founder myself because anytime like as a founder, you're trying to start a company or a product and bring it out to the masses. I mean, that is a little bit delusional to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so there's really anytime you're doing like anything new and trying to like take it out of the idea in your brain and try to put it in millions of other people's brains, like that's an extremely difficult thing to do. And I think it can really only be done with a little bit of delusion to begin
Mm-hmm.
with. If you're
Mm-hmm.
completely illogical about this, like almost every entrepreneurial endeavor is going to sound a little crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I
Well,
mean,
when
there's
you look at the statistics of success, just like
oh
the rate of success for startups, the total, the attention deficit economy,
yeah,
the ability to try to get someone to listen. It's like the how many times in advertising does it take for someone to actually start paying attention to your product? Those stats are very scary when you're first starting out.
but yeah, that's just that's one of many lessons in that book. That's a great one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings me to like the Elon Musk book.
Oh yeah.
But for the kind of a pitch for both of these books, for those who are listening, what's amazing about the Steve Jobs book is that he approached Walter Isaacson, who had written about innovators. He wrote about Benjamin Franklin. He wrote about Isaac Newton. No, not Isaac Newton. No, not Tesla.
Was it Da Vinci?
Oh, he did do Da Vinci. He did do Da Vinci as
Yeah.
well. But anyway, so Steve Jobs gets his diagnosis of terminal illness and calls Walter Isaacson and says, "Hey, would you write a biography of me? Very fair, very straight. You have access to all of these people." And he said, "Sure," and he did it. So Elon Musk comes along. He does not have terminal illness, but he approached him. Correct?
I actually don't know. I
I.
do know that the first Elon Musk biography by Ashley Vance
Uh-huh.
actually had already done 100 hours of interviews with all of Elon's friends. And then he went to Elon and said, "Hey, I want to do this interview with you." And Elon's like, "I'm not doing this. Like, you can't do it. I'm not going to participate." And Ashley's like, "Okay, fine. Plan B is I will just release the book without interviewing you." And Elon's like, "Well, geez, all right. If you're going to launch it without interviewing me, then fine, I'll let you interview me." And so the first time was like begrudgingly. And then the second time, I actually don't know, but I would imagine, I would imagine that Walter Isaacson was probably like, all right, no one's done a real book on you in almost a decade. Let's do one.
Yeah, it's amazing. And one of the things, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler alert for people if they really want to read it, so you can fast forward. But is Elon's ability to really push people in a different way. With Steve Jobs had this reality distortion model where he was requesting things that really had no basis in reality, hence the reality distortion. So no basis in fact. Whereas Elon, it's everything. It's everything is fact. So
Yeah.
he's walking the factory floor and he sees a very specific bolt in the floorboard of a Model Y, and he goes, "Why is that there?" To the
Yeah.
engineer. And the engineer's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Explain to me the physics behind why that bolt is necessary for the function of this vehicle." And that was how basically the way that he approached every product and every company is going back to basics. And that's how you end up with the tremendous, incredible innovation that he has.
Hmm.
Is he kind of crazy? Probably,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but he's also a genius and an innovator. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess you got to have a little of that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's hear about Songfinch. It's a really neat company. I got a chance to look it up, but I want to hear from you. And I want to hear from you what your thoughts are.
Sure. Yeah. It's super fascinating. So the founder of the company invested in Iliad, and he invited me over to the office earlier this year. And he's at first it was a very simple product, but we're trying to evolve it quickly here. But at first it was basically just they have a roster of musicians that they work with, and there's about 1,000 right now, and they're all extremely talented. Like seriously, some of these people like probably should be famous with how talented they are.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got artists who do country, rock, pop, rap, R&B, really across every genre here. And you can hire them for minimum of $200. You can go up to 300. Some people spend $900 to make a custom song and like work with them to do so.
Wow.
And so a lot of the use cases is typically somebody who's wanting to buy an anniversary gift or a birthday gift or propose, or they have a new life milestone like a new baby or something, or someone passed away and they want to commemorate that milestone with the beauty of music and incorporate personal lyrics about that person. So you can come on the platform and you can hire them, and the artist will do the first draft of the lyrics. They'll send it back to you. You can provide feedback on it, go back and forth.
Super
Then
cool.
then they go to the studio, they record it, send that to you. And then we have all these different ways that you can also like add, you can get your song on Spotify. And now we're playing around with a few different concepts where we actually want to expand the business into like a true marketplace where we bring on like actually like famous musicians,
Mm-hmm.
musicians that people have heard of before they go to concerts, that they buy their tickets. But those artists want to charge way more than $200. They might want to charge $1,000 or $5,000 for a
Yeah,
custom song. And so that's the direction we're going in, is try to build this artist marketplace that really, I mean, if we're successful, if we pull this off, then like this could probably be one of the big forms of revenue for musicians. And
hmm
so many of the musicians on our platform complain about the fact that like Spotify, for example, it's really hard to like make money off of streaming. And then even like touring is like really difficult to make money on
hmm
a lot of musicians. But we've done almost $100 million in revenue to date. And so like we've kind of proven this concept that
absolutely.
custom music, one-of-one songs with these kind of like unknown artists has worked. But can we scale this to actually be something that like any musician out there can open up to their super fans to get a one-of-a-kind experience?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the concept.
That's a very, very cool concept. I had kind of I think I may have mentioned it to you in this in my email about how I did this on an AI version. And I'll tell you, so
Yes.
what I did was I was thinking I had a special present for my parents this past Christmas. And I was hanging out in the shower where all ideas come. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a poem, like, that's kinda cool." So then the poem ended up being a rap, and I'm like, "Am I gonna rap this?" I mean, that'd be kinda funny. So then, so then of course, having all the AI tools, I'm like, ChatGPT, let's go. I'm
Yeah.
just going to put what I've already written and I'm gonna make a song out of it. And then this was right when Suno was coming out, right? The music AI thing. And so I
Mhm.
had that make it.
Yeah.
My mom loved it. It was a whole thing. But what I like about this is that it's much more intimate.
Yes.
So with Suno, at least I'm sure they've come out with new versions, going to keep getting better and better, whatever. But when I
Mhm.
did it, the sound was very similar across genres of music. So whether it's hip hop
Mhm.
or rap or rock, etc., it sounded like a similar voice.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's better now to where it's not like that and they can probably have whatever voice you want. But what's neat about this, your concept, is that I feel like there's almost a community aspect to it where you're working with this human being
Yeah.
and there's this relationship that you're developing. And even if the artists are doing dozens of these, in order for them to provide a good product, they have to develop this relationship with these people and, you know what I mean, have like an emotional, I don't know, attachment in a, not attachment, that's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying, like
Yes.
investment. It's an emotional investment in it.
Yes.
So I really like this. The more that so obviously I do the podcast, but I have this project called the Gen Creative, and it's about helping creatives basically adopt AI tools in their workflow. But one of the things that have started to realize, because you see, this multitude of creatives out there not pushing, but presenting things they're making with AI. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but there's going to be a need for them to be able to think again in an analog way.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Mm,
anyway, I love what you guys are doing
yeah.
there because
Good.
it's using technology, but it's also bringing communities together.
Yes. Yes. No, exactly. And I mean, we talk about this literally every single day, but when AI first came out, like Suno came out, like there was people there. I mean, there were investors in the company. There were co-founders of the company that were like basically panicking. And they were like, all right, well, Songfinch is done. Like people, like who's going to want like music from like a person anymore if you could spin it up like to an AI model. And this was, I think like when AI first started coming out, I think everybody was like questioning like everything that they're doing. But now that the dust has settled a little bit, it's actually really fascinating to see this. Like we're actually observing this divergence where there's definitely some people who just have a use case of like, hey, I just need like a quick like little jingle made for my for my ad or for my business or whatever, versus hey, I have a really important like milestone in my life coming up, or like my spouse's life, or collectively, and I need something that like has soul in it, and I
Mhm,
really care about how it's made.
mhm.
And I mean, we also, when we talk about the same example of like the luxury market,
100%.
there's like basically perfect knockoffs that exist for like
Mhm,
almost every luxury good out there. But people at the end of the day, like they really do care like how that thing was made. And so just because you can get a near perfect replica of a song or a handbag or whatever, the having like a human like invest in it, like craft it with them in mind, like it just is so much more meaningful. And
100%.
there's so much more demand for that. And one of my theories with AI is that I think AI is like phenomenal for specific use cases where you're trying to get more productive or you're trying to get more efficient, and you're trying to do something like on a routine task that, if you're gonna, message, outbound leads 1,000 times, like AI can actually kind of help you with that. But in terms of like creating content, and content's not even the best word, but like creating like art,
Mhm,
like frankly, like let's take the topic of books. AI is already good enough that it can write books, but nobody's making a lot of money off of like selling AI books. In fact, I've never even heard of anybody in my life. I've talked to a lot of book readers
mhm.
that have knowingly read, maybe knowingly is the key word here, but
Yeah, exactly.
like, like read like a 300 page like book that's written by AI.
Mhm,
Yes. I think
mhm.
I genuinely, and like think of yourself as well. Like, would you actually spend the time to like read a 300-page book written by ChatGPT? I'm not sure I would.
So it's one of those things I think, and I mean, I love tech, so then I always think I think in the, the positives of it, or rather, oh well, it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good, and I do think it will be. And the thing is that the programmers are basically going to have to, in order to make it more authentic, they're going to have to program it random mistakes, right? So, but I think the way I see it is that 80 they're going to get 80 to 90% there.
Yeah.
But then people are going, to your point, they're going to want the handmade thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things is like, one of the people in my family is a architect at a high end architecture firm, and they make these beautiful homes, beautiful brick and stone work and masonry. And there's a company that they visited that may do iron rods for doors and fences that they're making by hand. And you think that it's not, say, a perfect smooth cut all the way, right? It's going to have its little inconsistencies. And I think that not only are people going to say, because they can say, oh, this was handmade, but because they, like you said, they want that authentic human feel. And I think that is a truth to that. And that's the same thing with paintings.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a bunch of people who are just going to, like, what percentage of Americans who have artwork on their walls have canvas and oil paintings? Very few. But there is going to be the market there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the same thing with movies. Like, want to know who the actors are, like what other movies are they in, and like I like to know their, like Matthew McConaughey, like I follow him and like his life just online in general. Like, who is the director of this movie? Like, have I seen other movies they've directed? Was I able to watch them do an interview like before and after the release and like hear like their take on this, like what they meant by the ending? Like, I care about that, like as a movie viewer. Like, same thing with books. Like, I will go listen to like one or two podcasts like that the author gave before I like ultimately read the book. Like, I really do want to like feel like I'm reading this from somebody who's well intentioned, like is interesting. They came at it from a honest, authentic approach. So like, yeah, I mean, and then same thing with music. Like, I'm a huge, like my favorite band growing up and like still, frankly, is Blink-182.
Dude, I just saw them in St. Louis.
Incredible, right?
On Friday. It was freaking amazing. They are also my favorite band.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. So I really like, I don't know them. I've actually met them once before, but I'm like, I feel like I could be friends like with Tom, Mark, and Travis. Like, I like them as people.
Yes.
So, but I'm confident that the AI will get good enough that they could just start making Blink songs like out of AI models. But I don't value that. I want to know that like the band together like came up and like they sat down and recorded this in the house and launched it as an album. And I want to support them in doing so.
For sure. Well, I think, and I'm going to fanboy on Blink-182 right now, but kind of looping back to the Marcus Aurelius and the Meditations. So the story of Blink-182, and I'm not like a big celebrity, I follow the celebrities on Twitter, but I just love Blink-182. But their story of how they broke up, they came back, they broke up, they came back.
Right.
Mark got a diagnosis of cancer accidentally.
Yeah.
Instagrams publicly his treatment, and then Tom reaches out and is like, dude, what's going on? And they get back together. And now I just saw them on stage. I got this awesome picture of them, hanging out together. Yeah. And I'm thinking about, these guys are in their late 40s, early 50s now, have been playing together since they were in their 20s. They're still making music. Travis was in a plane crash. Mark had cancer. Tom went to find aliens, and now they just came out with a new album of, actually 2 albums worth of music, and they are crushing it on stage.
Yes.
It's all of that story behind the songs.
Yes.
And the performance. You see these guys, world class. And even my wife, who was with me, who's not in a Blink-182, she went because she felt bad, is like, wow, that was an amazing show. They did such a good job with the crowd. Yeah. Is a robot going to be able to do that? Is a robot going to have that story? I don't think so.
Right. No, I definitely don't think so. And ultimately, I think a lot of people have been asking the wrong question of like, can AI do this? That's almost irrelevant. Yeah. Like the question is, will people value what an AI can do? And I think people will value AI saving them time in managing their inbox or writing software or writing code for them. I think people will value that. People like to save time. That's great. And if you can take like a messy job off my hands, I appreciate that. But like, will if my AI agent wakes me up, a decade from now, saying like, "Hey, I wrote this album for you," I'll be like, "I didn't ask you to do that. I don't need that. I don't like. I'm good. I'm good
Oh,
with
sorry, you are correct. I will delete it immediately.
yes, yeah,
So so a little I think so this is the thing that I think concerns me about the AI stuff, and I know I've mentioned this on previous podcasts, is this idea that the humanity is lazy on average, right? So if you just look at the average amount of Americans watch TV,
hmm
the average amount of Americans stay on social media,
hmm
the what percentage of movies and TV that is coming out is actually quality art?
yeah,
It's very little. So I think one of my opinion, my humble opinion.
hmm
So I think that's what worries me is that people who people don't really know how it's affecting them, and it's almost going to be like they're going to be choked out by AI before they even realize it. And that's what I'm nervous about.
hmm
Because you're on the really far right, uber informed about
yeah,
what AI and tech and what's happening and things like
yeah,
that. And then you're very well read and you think about these things. But my concern is that so few people do.
yeah.
So what and I know we only have a few more minutes here because you got a hard stop here, but if you were to give like a sign off to people who are listening about, maybe they're not as informed as you, or maybe they're thinking about how their kids should adapt to AI in the future, how you are trying to prevent yourself from being too wrapped up into using AI and you want to keep your faculties, what would your advice be for that?
Man, it's a good question. I think you have to identify like when am I going to use it and when am I not? And I think it's totally fair to look at the ways that like it can offload repetitive tasks or mistakes. But if it's anything that is like getting in the way of your humanity, then that's a problem. And I
Hmm.
think I think if you're using it like, everybody's got text groups with friends, with family, and like you could build an AI tool. I'm sure there's one already out there that just like responds to all your friends and family with like fake messages from yourself. Like
Hmm.
that's a problem. That's a problem
Yeah,
because the things that make you human, like your human relationships, your personal family friend relationships, like those are important for your own life. And so if you're using AI to replace that, like, hold on, you should start questioning other things. And then,
so and the big question though is what is humanity?
well, I mean,
What
that,
is our humanity and how do we find it? So
yeah,
for someone when you say that you don't lose your humanity, what does that mean to you? And how do people find it for themselves?
yeah. I
That's a
mean,
big question. I know that's
that's,
like the
that's, that's another podcast. That's another hour at least. But man, I mean, there's things that give you life and give you energy and purpose, and there's things that take away your energy and life and purpose. And I think your humanity is what gives you. So,
that's a
yeah.
good that's a good answer
All right.
to a giant question when you
Yes.
don't even have much time left. So, John, thanks so much, man, for coming on. I would love to do a part 2 when we
Yeah.
have more time, and maybe that will be our next topic is what is humanity
Um.
in the world of AI, the AI era? All right.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. Well, it's. I've got a lot of thoughts on that, but it was great to talk about this, man.
Awesome. Well, for everyone, we're signing off.
All right.
See you later.
See ya.